A big number for Auburn fans who are used to domination in Jordan-Hare Stadium. LSU coming to town, now 7.5-point favorites over Auburn, who are 1-0 and 3-1 in the SEC, and getting ready for that another battle of Tigers this weekend.
That's right. We'll talk about that game with John Samuel Shenker, the Auburn tight end, who joins us at this time each week on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. It is the next round, presented by Bud Light, who reminds you to decide to ride. Before you ever take that drink, make your plan, decide to ride. Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light remind you. Welcome in, John Samuel Shenker. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks a lot. That was a weird game and a weird ending. A lot of people point out you get those at Jordan-Hare Stadium. You're an Auburn player that has seen some weird endings. How did that one rank for you?
Yeah, that one's up there for sure. Just the last few minutes, just how crazy, just back and forth it went with emotions from not even possibly being in overtime to getting the win in overtime. It was a crazy win, but it is a win nonetheless. So we're excited about that.
Where was on both of those plays, your vantage point on the Mevis missed 26-yard field goal? Did you think he had made that? And then the Pete fumble through the end zone or into the end zone, did you think he had gotten the ball across?
So on the kick, I was praying back on the other side of the field on the sideline. I was on my knees. Had my head down praying, and then right before he kicked it, I lifted my head, and I could see it going right, but from my vantage point, I didn't know what the referee would call. I thought it was pretty close, just going to kind of right over the pole. So I didn't know what he'd call there. Mizzou fans were going crazy, but they're in a spot where they can't see the field goal either. So when that was called, I took a deep breath, and then I could only see the run on the big screen. He was out of my vision on the last play. So all I saw was the ball squirt out right there before he got to the end zone. And I really couldn't believe it, honestly. And then, obviously they would review that. And we pretty much knew when we went to review that we would win. Their coach was already he was already at midfield waiting for Coach Harsin before they even called it. So just a crazy couple of minutes there.
Yeah, it really was. I'm interested. One of your catches, you barely caught it right off of the ground. As a receiver, harder to catch the low ball or the high ball where you have to climb a ladder? Specifically for you, or just in general for receivers, do you like to go down to get them, or do you like to go up to get them?
I would say it's hard to go down to get them, just because if you're gonna go down to get it, has to be really, really clean to get the catch. Because if any part of that ball hits the ground, it's incomplete. So normally there's a little more gray area on the ground, just trying to get your hands under the ball as much as possible before you hit the ground. So I would say those are much more difficult than the ones that are high for me.
So to bracket to that question, everything you saw in the spring and in the camp leading into the season, did you ever imagine that the passing game would be so hard to accomplish week in and week out? It has become a grind to throw the football for you guys right now. Did you ever see the potential of that ever happening in camp leading into the season?
Yeah, no, I don't think, not to this extent, no. I thought, we would be with our run game, which it wasn't good on Saturday either. But they load the box a lot for that, which we expected. So, no, we didn't expect our passing game to be like this. But we did expect on Saturday to have a little more rushing attempts and things like that. But when that's not working, it's also hard to throw the ball as well. So just trying to open up the pass game with the run game, which is something we actually were pretty good at before this week. Just they game planned it well on the run game side, so it made it more difficult to pass this week.
Auburn tight end John Samuel Shenker, our guest each week at this time on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. This is the next round, presented by Bud Light, who reminds you, decide to ride. Make that plan before you ever take your first drink. Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light remind you, decide to ride. I want to preface the question I'm about to ask by saying I think the criticism is unfair, but I want your response to the criticism. there are people who've watched the videos on social media of you guys celebrating in the locker room, and they're like, oh, they shouldn't have won that game. I was an embarrassment. How are they celebrating? I don't know what you're supposed to do after a win. However you win the game, as a player in the locker room, what's your reaction to people saying, I can't believe they're celebrating that win?
Well, that's probably because they're not part of the team and they don't put in the work every day to get a win. So, in the SEC, yeah, every game is different, and obviously you want to win games playing well. But when you win a game in the SEC, especially to start 1-0, it doesn't really matter how you win the game. If you're 1-0 in the SEC, that's all that matters, and that's what we are. People can say what they want, but at the end of the day, we did win the game, regardless of if they think we should have or not. That's how it played out. So, yeah, I mean, fans are going to do that, I guess. But when you put in all that work during the week and you get a win, you're going to celebrate it. That's part of why we play the game, is to celebrate wins in the locker room.
So LSU, they your next opponent, obviously 6 o'clock, Jordan-Hare, Saturday night. They lose opening week to Florida State on that tipped extra point that would have taken the game to overtime. Since then, they've reeled off 3 consecutive wins. They look to be getting better each and every week. This is a defense that held New Mexico, I know not a good team, to less than 100 total yards and shut them out. When you watch LSU, specifically on defense, how good is this team?
Yeah, I agree. I think they've gotten a lot better since that week one. Just, with a new coach and things like that, like we experienced last year as well. You can have some things early in the season that you're trying to fill out, trying to play together. So, yeah, I agree. I think they're a good football team. I think they're a lot better than what they showed in that Florida State game. Obviously, this past weekend they played really well on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they're your typical LSU defense. They're going to be great athletes on both sides of the ball. Especially on defense for us. They do pose some problems. They have a big front seven, and then obviously on the back end they always have great players. So we got to come ready to play. It's another challenge in the SEC.
My friend Justin Hokanson, who writes for On3 Sports and Auburn Live, makes a point that with you and then 2 tight ends, Dill and Fromm, that Auburn moving forward, the tight end room has to become Auburn's biggest weapon. Is there enough talent in that room, in your opinion? And do you think that would work if the tight end room, you yourself and those 2 guys, become sort of the biggest weapons for the Auburn offense?
Well, I think if you look back last year in the LSU game, that was really the case. That was probably one of our best games in the tight end room. We really opened up in the pass game that week. But I think anytime you have a tight end or tight ends, they get a lot of receptions throughout a game. That opens up everything for your offense, because now they're having to guard 1 more guy or 2 more guys on the field. So, yeah, I agree. I think, if you can get the tight end more involved, it opens up a lot more, even in the run game, because they never really know what you're doing if you're running and then passing as well. So that can pose some problems for defenses as well.
I know you'll play the game whenever it's scheduled. I like night games at Jordan-Hare. Are you a night game guy, day game guy at Jordan-Hare?
Big games, I love night games. So like this one, I'm very happy that it's at night. So I love the night games. I wish Penn State was a night game, but I do enjoy the big game, especially in the SEC at night.
Is it more difficult though? Like I've heard, especially on the road, a lot of people don't like playing the night game because you have to fill so much time. What is it like at home though when you don't kick till 6?
It's kind of like a high school game, honestly. You kind of just wait around all day. You're thinking about the game. We get to watch a few games beforehand. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the build up throughout the day, just to get ready to go out there and play.
High school game, did you ever go to class on a Friday?
Oh, come on.
Oh yeah, you gotta go to class. Come on now.
Did you?
They let you out early.
Yeah. You get to go to the pep rally.
Did your high school? I mean, I'm old, obviously, but back in my day, your girlfriend at the time would wear your high school jersey on Fridays. Did that happen in your high school? Like she sported a jersey?
I don't think so. I don't remember there ever being that case. We'd always have, obviously, we have the pep rallies and all that.
You're lost,
my
John
senior
Samuel.
year.
You're lost, John
Yeah, I
Samuel
know.
Shenker. It's a good look. It's a good look.
I know.
Girl
I
in
know.
your jersey, good luck.
Come on, man. That Colquitt County jersey, only the players could wear it, right?
Okay. One of those.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck against LSU. We always appreciate the time. We'll see you next Monday.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, buddy. Take care. John Samuel Shenker, the Auburn tight end, with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. It is the next round presented by Bud Light, who reminds you decide to ride. Before you ever take that first drink, have a solid plan. That's how you decide to ride. Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light reminds you decide to ride.